Yeah.
As a young person, you've got the safe job with checks coming in, and then you want to do something, I guess, creative and follow your passion. What made you take that step away?
Yeah, well, I was
I'm actually super curious in your whole world. I've only seen it on movies and
oh yeah, most
in
people.
whatever exposure I've had of it. But let me intro you for our guests.
Sure.
From what I can understand, and jump in, Rachel, if this is incorrect, but you are a teacher. So
Yeah.
why we love people like you on this show, you're someone that follows their dreams, their passion, and thrives in swimming in the deep end. And someone that was a teacher, now a model, a writer, someone with a passion for fashion. Sorry about the puns and the rhymes there, but someone that ended up as a national finalist in the Australian Galaxy Pageant, which we'll find out a bit more about, to an international model, and now you're using your platform to write about that space, and you're using your platform to advocate for sustainable fashion. So I think that's pretty cool. Someone that had a safe, I wouldn't say cruisy career as a teacher, but someone that's now doing something cool and using your platform to, I guess, shout out about the issues in the world. So welcome. Great to have you
Oh,
with
thank
us.
you. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Before we start, what is this Australian Galaxy Pageant?
Yeah, so you've probably heard of beauty pageants before. If you've watched Miss Congeniality, you kind of
Yes.
have an idea of what it is. However, pageants these days, modern pageants, are a little bit more different than what you would expect. So it's not really about who's the prettiest person. It's not about who has the prettiest dress or who looks the best on stage. It's all about empowering women and giving us opportunities to create a platform like my platform about your clothes so that we can
Yeah.
impact our communities in a positive way.
Awesome. That's really cool. And are there different types of, I guess, pageants like these to, give individuals like you a stage to advocate for different things that you are passionate about?
Yeah, there is. So I've been doing pageants now for, oh gosh, about 5 years. So I've been in quite a few. Galaxy is the only one that I've done twice, which says
Oh,
a
wow.
lot. Yeah, it says a lot about Galaxy as a system. I really enjoyed it last year, which is when my first time as a national finalist. And I decided to come back this year to give it another go because I just felt that it was something that really called to me to go and try again. And I made so many friends throughout the whole time and I learned a lot along the way. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I want to hear about you were working as a teacher, so an English teacher, as far as I understand.
Yes, English and history, but mostly English.
Oh, nice. The history
Yeah,
side we like. Well, we like the
yes,
English side too, but
yeah.
so you were working in kind of by what society says, a safe-ish job and career.
hmm
Um, from what I read about you, you had this passion and this inkling to go towards this fashion side. What made you take this step? Because I'm just thinking purely financial here, right?
Yeah.
As a young person, you've got the safe job with checks coming in, and then you want to do
Yeah.
something, I guess, creative and follow your passion. What made you
Mm.
take that step away?
Yeah, well, I was quite young when I decided not to work in schools anymore as a teacher. Um, I think it was one of the experiences that I had, which was with some, other male staff that made me feel very uncomfortable. So I decided that, maybe this isn't the right sort of place for me at this time. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go and, have my great adventure and see where I end up. So I just decided to, give it a try and do a master's degree in education. And that was when I was, like 23, 22, 23.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest in my class by about 10 to 20 years. So I
Oh,
had to grow
wow.
up quite quickly in terms of, mental like thinking skills.
Yeah.
So I went and I tried that. And after that, I was like, you know what, I've done all the studying now. I'm going to try something new. So I decided to do pageants a couple of years later. And then that kind of changed the entire trajectory of my life, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's crazy that, I mean, you took that leap. Sorry, back to what you studied, and we'll go to the whole pageant scene.
Yeah.
Is that the one where you did your master's in, I think you wrote about female leadership, or was
Yes,
that?
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah. So my dissertation was in middle management for secondary schools and female leaders in middle management secondary schools. Yeah.
yeah, nice. It's awesome actually, because you obviously took your experience, which was obviously quite negative, turned that
Mm.
into something that you could do a bit more research about, which is great. And
Yeah,
hopefully
that was
there's
the entire point. Yeah. So
yeah,
I just decided, you know what, in that particular faculty that I was in at the time, there weren't any other females around that were, in leadership positions at that point. And it really got me thinking as a young person, where does my career go then? If I can't see me, someone like me in a leadership position in this particular setting that I've studied so hard to get into, what does that mean for my future? So I just decided to, buckle down and investigate why that was the
yeah.
case.
This is
Yeah.
the best thing about our generation. I always reflect with my mates because I feel like in past generations, if you experience something like that, a lot of people would just feel like they need to suck it up and
Mm,
just continue in the careers despite what's happened around them because there's no other. It's really hard to go and do something different, or even really hard to go back and study something
yeah,
and do that investigation. So it's
it is.
awesome that in this generation we get to do that, and you got to do that and use that influence. Let's
Yeah.
talk about pageants. So you went to pageants. Did
Mhm.
you? Did you go to fashion business school during this process as well?
No, I went afterwards. So my doorway into fashion was through pageants. So my very first pageant, we went to an event that was a couple of weeks before the pageant, and I met a photographer there, and he's still one of my good friends to this day, which is really lovely. And he asked me, to add him on Facebook. I added him on Facebook. A couple of weeks later, he messaged me saying, "Hey, this girl that I was supposed to do a shoot with has pulled out because she doesn't feel ready, like she wants to lose weight or something. Do you want to do a photo shoot?" So I was like, well, I just finished my first ever national pageant. Why not just give it a try? So I did, posted on Instagram. And then from there, I just started booking jobs eventually. Yeah.
How goes that? Would a part of
Yeah.
you think similarly, like maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'll give it a bit more time, or were you just
No,
all in 100%?
I was 100% all in. That's part of my personality. I've got a pretty big drive. I'm very ambitious. So, yeah, I didn't really have any goals. I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to go 110% and just see what happens.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Your drive? Is that
Um, I think it's partly to do with my parents. My mum has a PhD and she didn't end up finishing year 12. So to go from not finishing year 12 to end up with a PhD and being a university lecturer, that's such a great example for, her daughter, me,
yeah?
to end up doing something, similar. And it's a very good sort of pathway to show your kids what you can be capable of if you just put your mind to something.
Yeah, that's awesome. My mum's a bit similar as well. She studied all this really cool stuff, came here and changed her careers, and
Yeah.
basically studied nutrition, came here to this country, worked her way up in call centers, and now she's doing stuff at the ATM.
Mm,
Like, how does that even
wow.
happen? Just drive off, particularly like you said, your parents instills that
Yeah.
into the generation after. So I love that.
Yeah.
So you book your first job,
Hmm.
emotions, nerves going through that first job.
No, I didn't really have any nerves, which, some people might think that's a little bit weird, Rachel, that you weren't nervous at all. But I
Yeah.
actually come from a background of a lot of entertainment stuff. So I was an Irish dancer, a competitive Irish dancer
Oh
for
wow.
like 8 years. And then before that, I did a lot of acting, and singing and dancing and all this other stuff. So I've always been kind of around that creative area, very expressive sort of thing, always on stage. Love it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it didn't really faze me because I knew that I'd done something difficult before. So I had the proof that I can do difficult things in the future.
Yeah. Would you say to enter yourself into these pageants, you do have to have that kind of extroverted background, even though even
No,
though you don't have to be extroverted, but do you need to be confident and
no, not really. I think you have to have the want to become confident. So part of what Miss Galaxy Australia does is we empower women to be the best version of themselves, which is really important. A lot of women do struggle with confidence, and that's such a great advantage of doing pageants because you meet people who are interested in the exact same things that you are, who are going out and volunteering in the community. So that means putting yourself out there, which can be really quite scary. So putting yourself in all these new experiences, and it builds your confidence along the journey towards the national final. And then at the national final, that's when it all kind of accumulates. So it comes together, and
Yeah.
then you kind of walk out a different person than when you walked in.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
what's different about the national finals? It sounds like we just went through this whole Super Bowl hurrah with Taylor Swift and stuff there. Is it like the Super Bowl of the
It's like
Galaxy
the
pageant?
pre-Super Bowl. So
Okay.
if there's a pre-Super Bowl, I don't know. I don't really
Yeah.
follow sports that
I don't
closely.
I don't follow the American football, so I don't know either.
I have no idea. So the national final is like the precursor to an international final that's held over in America.
Yeah.
So all these girls from different countries go off to compete in America. So it's the UK, Australia, the United States girls, and lots of other countries that come along as well. So that's kind of like the World Series of this particular pageant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is it interacting? So there's again, I'm going to preface this with my view of the fashion industries on movies. It feels like the fashion industry in America, I don't know if this is here, is a very kind of dog eat dog world.
Mm.
This the Australian Galaxy pageant obviously has a different purpose because it's about bringing the best out of people, right? Do you feel like that environment with other people who are there to get the best out of themselves, you're all trying to urge each other to become better and urge each other, like really uplifting each other?
Yeah, definitely. So I've made some really great friends from last year's Galaxy pageant, and girls that I talk to pretty much every day. And I have my own podcast, and I just interviewed one of my friends for that podcast because we're very interested in the same sort of fashion things. We're talking about sustainable fashion, and we're always constantly, yeah, you can do it. You can do these incredible things that you want to do, and we really push each other in a nice way. We push each other to be the best version of ourselves. And I think it just a pageant like Galaxy really just attracts people who are naturally like that anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Um, and so you go from that, you obviously build this passion now for your industry, but also do you see things in the industry that makes you, I guess, gravitate towards this whole sustainable fashion? You start writing about it, and then I guess you did some study on it as well. Does that open your eyes to, I guess, the murkiness of parts of the industry?
Oh yeah, definitely. So my day to day, what it looks like, I will be, writing about sustainable fashion. I'll write about different fabrics, different fibers, from all these different places all around the world. And I realized that it's very difficult to track where our clothes are coming from, who's making them. And it's something that I see every day. So after you've seen that every day, you can't really help but become passionate about it because it's
Mm,
something that you know and that you live and that you talk to lots of people about on the daily. So that's kind of where it all kind of started, this seed of interest. And yes, I did go to fashion business school, but that was more the business side. This is kind of a different side. So what I've learned over the past couple of years while I've been working in my role that I'm currently in at the moment as a writer, is that there's so much change going on in this industry, and a lot of the changes people don't really understand. So I feel like it's my job as, a national finalist, not just a national finalist for Miss Galaxy Australia, but just as someone who's in this industry to make it easy for people to understand why everything is the way that it is and what the future could look like.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of um, ignorance that we tolerate. Like, I think people know about some of the murkiness in the industry, but you almost turn a blind eye towards it. And I saw something I think you wrote about how the Sheins and the fast fashion space is one of the biggest
Yeah.
contributors to that. Tell me about that actually, because I've been reading a bit about it. Actually, what perked my curiosity is they've got this event in Brisbane, I think this week, or they've had something in
Mm-hmm.
Brisbane, which actually surprised me that I felt like the East Coast, particularly, is where I focus a lot of my time in, is very knowledgeable about the whole fashion space, even though there's certain pockets that, will tolerate it, but it's very widely advertised, this whole Shein Beach Club
Mm.
thing. And I feel like everyone knows about the whole fast fashion space, coming from China, particularly in Shein and Temu's and all these other companies. But tell me about that. How did you find out about that? How did you feel, I guess, exploring some of the darkness in that fashion space?
Well, it's a very deep journey that you go on when you learn about this stuff, and you don't really look at the world the same again after you know. But I do understand why people, purchase from Shein because it's affordable. They want to participate in fashion, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just about, governments, people, companies, like individuals and companies, building better structures so that people can participate in fashion in a more positive way.
Mm.
So it's not just oh, you're a bad person for shopping at Shein. It's more about how the whole structure of the fashion industry makes it so difficult to engage in, sustainable fashion. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah. Um, just on that as well. So guys like me, I say guys like me, maybe not guys like me, but I'm very simple. I love going to your Kmart's, buying an $8 shirt just because I don't really care about going in and browsing through. When I'm going
Yeah.
to Kmart, I'll just go and get something cheap. That's got a problem as well, right? Because that's all contributed through countries that basically pay some of their workers minimum wages. There's all this talk about materials. Is there other stuff that we should be considering? So I'm talking about simple people like me. How would you help, I guess, if we were sitting at a bar, how would you help me think through this fashion dilemma in a way that
Yeah.
I can actually go and action it tomorrow or over the weekend?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. So if you're in Kmart, for example, part of what Kmart does really well is they have a lot of cotton and it's certified cotton. So they can, trace the supply chain. So that's something that Kmart does really well.
Okay.
Just for general sort of stuff. So if you're out shopping, even if it's thrift shopping, like going to Vinnie's or whatever, um, always look at the inside of the tag and what the fiber composition is. So
Mhm.
if you've got up the top, it says polyester and then a whole bunch of other things, and cotton's way down the bottom, that means that polyester is going to be your biggest, most used fiber in that particular garment. So, it's going to have the biggest percentage of polyester in that garment. So the problem with things like polyester and synthetics and stuff like that, they're all made out of plastic and oil, so oil
Yeah.
that comes from the ground. And a lot of people don't know that, especially in other countries. I feel like in Australia, we're pretty like cluey with it.
Mm.
But in other countries, they're not really quite there yet. And that's totally fine. It's just a matter of like educating people about what, our clothes are made of, which is why I created About Your Clothes. But even just checking what fiber type, because it will impact on the way that you wash your clothes, and how many times you'll have to wash them to get them clean, and all this other stuff that we can think about. Sustainability is not just about, oh, here's the best fiber type, but it's also about care, and it's a whole other world about, yeah, about how to look after your clothes and where they come from and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a part of a couple of organizations, and I think you founded one as well. Is that right? That you maybe not? maybe,
Did I?
yeah,
To
maybe
me,
secret. I don't know. Tell me about the
no.
initiatives that you're a part of and the organizations you're a
Yeah.
part of.
So, actually, yesterday I was, oh no, not yesterday, Saturday, I was just working with an organization called Dress for Success. Is that the one that you're thinking of?
Yeah, the one with
Yeah.
the Instagram on their page. I think it's the one where you interviewed your friend.
Oh, yeah. So that's my one. That's About Your Clothes.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yep.
yeah,
So that's the one that I do. So
kind of there. Yeah,
kind of, we were nearly there, yeah.
yeah,
So I founded About Your Clothes,
yeah.
and then I also work with other different types of organizations, just volunteering my time. And usually I am drawn to similar organizations to what I'm interested in and what I know about, because that's kind of, what I'm good at. So the other day I was volunteering for Dress for Success, which is an organization that helps women into employment. So we empower them through fashion into employment.
Oh,
And what
nice.
that looks like is they come into our styling studio. We style them for job interviews, and then they go off to their job interview. If they're successful, they can come back and we'll give them a whole week's worth of clothes for free.
That's actually really practical help.
Isn't it amazing? I love it.
Yeah. And so when was that founded and how did you get involved with that? Was that just through
Yeah.
research and
Yeah, it was. So I've been wanting to volunteer with them for many, many years. And I actually found them during the second lockdown. And I was just sitting at home and I was like, oh, I wonder, what I could do. I'm kind of, bored. I'm going to look into lots of different things. So I'd seen Dress for Success around on Instagram before. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to have a look into it, see what it's all about. And I was reading about it and I was like, wow, this is perfect for me. This is all the stuff I'm interested in. And, I used to work in recruitment, so I understand how, the interviewing process works and all that sort of stuff. So I decided, to email them. I did a virtual sort of training program, kind of like this. We had like people on the screen and all that. And yeah, I just kind of started volunteering with them, yeah, pretty much pretty soon after that, after, yeah, everything started to go back to normal a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Recruitment. What did you recruit?
Oh, I did like corporate recruitment, and I also did fashion recruitment as well. Just
Oh,
brief
nice.
stints in recruitment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm also interested in, so you've got this passion for writing. You've actually got a really
Hmm.
nice writing style, which is easy to read.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
well, I get very distracted reading stuff. I'm trying to read. I don't know if you've read Atomic Habits. I'm trying to read that at the moment. Everyone's raving about it,
Mm,
but like after reading 5 pages, I'm just like, all right, I got to put this down and walk away. So
yeah.
I get very distracted, but your writing is actually pretty easy to read. How did you develop that? Is that just a passion that you've had always growing up in terms of a skill that you've harnessed?
Yeah, so my dad is really good at writing. So my dad used to work in law. He was a court reporter. So he's very naturally good at, language and all that sort of stuff. So he taught me to read when I was like 3, and ever since then, pretty much, I just started writing on my own and writing up little stories and stuff when I was a kid. And I'm pretty sure my mum still has most of them.
Wow, that's
But it was very
crazy.
cute. And then I just kind of, it was something that I naturally gravitated towards. It was never something that I was like, oh, I want to be, a famous writer or whatever. Maybe one day, but um, yeah, it's something that I just naturally did over my whole lifetime. It's just something I gravitated towards and enjoyed. And then when it came time to finish school and graduate and go to university, I said to my parents, all I want to do is write. I don't want to do anything else. That's all I'm really passionate about. So they were like, oh, but you need to make money. You need to have a skill that you can sell, which is totally fair. So I was like, oh, what can I do? So I went off to be an English teacher just because I wanted to pursue
So yeah,
writing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it's really nice how that's come full circle. And
yeah,
are you teaching as well now? Are you
I am. Yeah,
in that
but not
education space,
in,
but for fashion?
yes, for fashion.
Yeah.
So I teach for a private college in Sydney, and I've been there for about 2 years, which is amazing. And the girls at work, they're also lovely. And all the topics that I teach are kind of related to what I have done in my career or what I'm currently doing now. So a lot of my students are between the ages of like 18 to 24, 25. I've taught some people who are like 40 as well, which was a really interesting experience for me, being on the other side of the classroom.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I've had a really good experience teaching, and I do love teaching, especially adult education. I think is where it's really at for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have to kind of tweak your teaching style for the different generations, or do you feel like in this space everyone gets it?
I think the people who come to the fashion school, they all really want to be there and they're very passionate about, fashion, and the textiles industry and learning and getting out and doing internships. So they want to be there, which makes my job a lot easier. And something that I have noticed as well is, as long as you give respect to your students, they will respect you. So, not walking in there as a teacher and saying, I'm going to tell you what to do in my class. It's more about, we're here together. We're going to go through this, 2.5 hour class together and we're going to learn this content and you're going to walk away with a new skill for your life. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Hey, you're at this crossroads now. Well, I don't know if it's a crossroad, but you're in the education space, you're writing, so it's obviously two passions. You're still involved in the fashion industry through your pageants, and you've got your, I guess, your feel good factor around sustainability and how you're, I guess, making good value in the world. What next do you reckon for you?
Very good question. I think I will probably continue down the road that I'm going down now. What I would really love to do with About Your Clothes in the future is to get people, especially women who are working in the fashion industry, onto my podcast. So people who haven't really had the opportunity to speak yet, they might not have a really big following. They might not be exactly where they, want to be at this time, but they're working towards something. They're ambitious and they want to go somewhere with their career. And I think it's just nice to give a platform to your everyday sort of person, because I'm an everyday person, and Australia Galaxy has given me a platform to show what I care about. So I want to extend that same opportunity to other people around the world as well, not just Australia, also internationally.
Yeah. So, do you see yourself being kind of I wouldn't say fashion influencer to that extent, because I feel like that kind of cheapens the cheapens the brand, but someone with a content platform that can elevate, I
Yeah.
guess, fashion personalities or fashion individuals that are passionate about their industry.
Yeah, definitely. I think the era of influencers is kind of changing a bit. I don't know if you've kind of noticed that on social media.
Mm.
But in the last couple of months, I've been experimenting with the things that I've learned through. I work in a marketing team, so I've been experimenting with things on my own Instagram, and it's been going really well. And a lot of younger girls have come and asked me for modeling training and all these other things, because a lot of the content that I put out is about modeling and also about pageants and my whole journey and all this sort of stuff. And I think it's more about being, relatable and real with people about this is what my life looks like. It's not just what you see on my Instagram grid. It's also about, this is my personality. These are my values. This is what I stand for. And, having something like Galaxy really puts you on that path to being able to communicate about those things, because it's a learning process trying to educate people about yourself. We're not really used to
Yeah.
speaking about ourselves. So this is a great opportunity to learn how to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And final question, I'm curious, has your kind of line of work taken you overseas? Have you been to, I guess, all these wild fashion shows and stuff that we see on TV?
Yeah, I've been in a few fashion shows. So I went to the US just before, in the year before COVID, so 2019, and I also went to China in that same year. So I think for me, my biggest journey, I guess, was in China, because I had never traveled overseas alone before, especially in a country where I didn't really know the language. I didn't know
Yeah,
anyone there.
that must have been hard.
It was hard, and I did get stuck at an airport, and I had to stay by myself in a random little hotel that I caught a bus to, and I was terrified. I was really scared, but I pushed through it, and you kind of have to manage your fear and all that sort of stuff to just get the job done. So that's what I did, and I had the best time. And some of the girls that I met over there, we're still friends with to this day. And it was a really special experience, and it was a really life defining, I think, moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on, Rachel. I'd love to, follow your journey, and when you're big and famous with, a million people on your platform, I'd love to be able to say that we were encouraged by you very early. We're rooting for you, rooting for your success, and yeah,
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
heaps for jumping on.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And if you're interested, you can follow my journey on
Yes,
Instagram. So
yeah,
I believe that, Kevin, you'll drop that maybe somewhere where people can find it.
I'll definitely drop it, but shout it out as well. Where
Yeah, okay. So you can follow me. My personal Instagram, where you can follow my pageant journey, is at rachelg.img. So img like image.
yeah,
And also my Instagram for About Your Clothes is just About Your Clothes with an underscore after it. You can also go to www.aboutyourclothes.com to read more about sustainable fashion.
awesome. And are you entering the Galaxy pageant again?
Yes, yes. So I'm a national finalist, and we have our national final on the 1st to the 4th of May. So our final night is on the 4th of May, where we'll all be on stage, and that's
Awesome.
where the winner of the national title will be crowned.
Brilliant. Go well, Rachel.
Great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Good luck and thanks for listening, guys.
Baby, yeah, out the D Lego.